Welcome back. Okay, so one topic that comes up in live streams, and so I wanted to tackle this in a video, and it's the off season, so I have time to do this, is a look at all 32 teams, including the recently moved Arizona Coyotes, which are now the Utah hockey team, or hockey club. And I wanted to talk about which ones might make changes next and which ones should. And that's a conversation that we can have as fans because we're the ones that buy the merchandise, the jerseys, and all that. So we should have some say, and I think we do. And one of the reasons I picked this Mighty Ducks jersey is because we're gonna get this as a third. They're not abandoning the colors. They just wanted to go with a new look for their home and away. And I think they've done well. So I'm starting with the West in part because that's where we've seen changes this year. And also, this side of the board faces west. This side of the board faces east. So when people are like, you got to do that the other way, but that's west and that's east on my board. I'm not switching the whole room around just for these videos. That'd be silly. Plus, then you'd have the window in the background and mess with all the lighting. At any rate, I wanted to talk about this today. West here, East here. Let's start with the West. First off, the Kings and the Ducks. They've made their changes. I do wish the Kings had brought back purple somehow. They didn't. I wouldn't rule out purple being on a third jersey. The old coat of arms or that crown they had during that era as well. I wouldn't rule that out. But the Ducks, with the Mighty Ducks logo coming back, I would not be surprised to see this coming back at some point. Maybe an updated version of this, but I would not be surprised to see it come back. Seattle, I've got next up because, yeah, there's been no change with Seattle. They've only been in the league a few years. At some point, we'll get a third jersey that's got the secondary logo on the front. Everybody's going to want that, but we haven't got that yet. Vegas, they did make the change in 2021 when they made the gold jerseys their home jerseys, which is understandable because the sparkly gold, that's kind of, that works for Vegas. That works for Vegas. That is a very Vegas look. If you go to Las Vegas, a lot of sparkles all over Las Vegas. So, not just on the strip either. So, Vegas, I don't think we're going to see another change. I think the gold they have, the white they have, that's fine. So that's four teams where I don't think we'll see a change. San Jose just changed their jerseys this past season, and I love the new look. I think it's absolutely great. I think they're fantastic. I don't think we see a change there. The Oilers made a change in 2022. So you can see there's a pattern here. I'm going with the teams that I don't think we're going to see a change. The Oilers went back to the colors they had back in the 80s when they were winning Stanley Cups right up until 1990. And so they've gone back to that look. I don't think we're going to see a change anytime soon. The St. Louis Blues, the last significant change they made to their jersey was 2014. I think they've got the perfect jersey. I think it's the perfect St. Louis Blues jersey. There's enough echoes of past jersey designs, plus it's a nice current design. I don't see any reason for the Blues to change it. The old looks they will continue to cycle through, I would think, with third jerseys, throwbacks, winter classics, all that fun stuff. There will be no shortage of St. Louis Blues jerseys for us to ooh and ah over the upcoming years. Minnesota. So the last change by Minnesota was 2017 when they went to the look they have now. They got rid of the red jersey, right? Red was their home jersey till 2017. There's been rumors and rumblings about them going to the North Stars colors. I don't think that's going to work, but I will say that as a third jersey, it's fine. As a throwback here and there for special theme nights or maybe anniversaries for things North Stars related, it's fine. Minnesota with the Wild, they've had that look for over 20 years. The Minnesota North Stars were there for about 25 years. So really, the Wild have almost as much of a history as the North Stars do. I don't see any reason to make a change. Colorado, 2017 was the last time they made a change when they went to their current jerseys, which are very similar to the first jerseys that they had. They're cleaner than the first jerseys they had, and I think it's fantastic. I don't see any reason Colorado needs to make a change either. So we're halfway through the West, and we haven't come across a team where I think there's going to be a change. Will Chicago change? No. The last change that Chicago made was to the logo they have now, which was in 1989. They've been fine-tuning that logo since the 60s. And at times they've had a logo that doesn't look nearly as nice as the one they have now. I know there's always that debate of, oh, are they going to have to change? No. Chicago's not going to have to change. I don't think that change is coming either. I've seen like the mock-ups too of the one where they've made it a hawk, where it's a very similar look. That logo actually was bought by, I think it's a girls, I want to say Bantam team. But yeah, that logo is not available for the Chicago Blackhawks to use, because every now and then I see that of, well, couldn't they use that? Actually, no. Winnipeg. Winnipeg's had the same look since 2011. I could see there being a scenario for the Winnipeg Jets to go back to one of their older logos. The reverse retros, the gray one wasn't fantastic, but I like the logo. Of course, they've had Winter Classic and Heritage jerseys where they've done throwbacks to that WHA look. I would not be surprised to see the Winnipeg Jets eventually switch back to that WHA look. It's fantastic. They're beautiful jerseys. It's a great logo. And the chain stitching on the logo that they used for that, it's just absolutely excellent. So I could see Winnipeg making a change. Calgary, they made their change in 2021. They went back to their 80s look as well, as both Alberta teams going back to a look that was their, I would say, their most successful. And so I don't think Calgary's going to make any change. There's certainly been discussion from Vancouver fans on a change for the Canucks, but the last time they made a change was getting rid of the word mark in 2019. I don't think the Orca's going anywhere. The skate stays as a third. The skate stays as your heritage throwback jersey. But the Orca has been around for a long time. The skate, that would have been, it came in what? I want to say 78. And the skate was around until 2007. And so you're looking about 30 years. This has been in place for 97, about 30 years. It's about the same. Really, the history with the Orca. And I would argue that they've been a better organization with the Orca, because there's some of their best runs have been since the change to that logo. So I don't think that we're going to see a change. And the reason I bring up the success on the ice is because it feels like teams will go back to that look, or they'll stick with a look where they've had the most success. It's part of the reason why I'm surprised the Kings made the change they did, because they did win the Cup in 2012 and 2014 with the jerseys they just changed from. Nashville, their last change was in 2017. Where we got the Adidas jerseys and they got rid of the stripes, but they also changed a bit of the look. There's a lot of gold on Nashville jerseys. I would love to see that change. I'd love to see more blue. I think blue works with that logo perfectly fine, but I don't get the feeling Nashville wants to make any change. I don't think it's going to happen. 2013, Dallas went to the logo they currently have in that look, and I think it's excellent. I was so scared when Dallas was going to change their look that I might not like it. I was proven wrong. Any of my fears were allayed pretty quickly. I don't think Dallas makes a change. I'm going to say this, though. Would I be surprised if they went back to their old look? Not really. The 1999 Stanley Cup look, something similar to that, wouldn't necessarily surprise me, but they did just rebrand in 2013, so you don't want to be rebranding every 10 years, right? So, yeah, we'll see. And then, of course, Utah, where they rob us of the Kachina. The Kachina had just become the main logo of the Arizona Coyotes in 2021. So only got 3 years of the logo being back to the Kachina, but we did get a couple of nice reverse retros, and so we'll always have that memory. Utah, of course, will be rebranding next summer once we know the actual nickname and we see a logo. It's likely going to be Yeti. It's likely that the jersey that they're wearing this year, that's the template, and will probably be the look they have the following season as well. Just we'll have a logo in the middle. It'll probably still be black, blue, and white. So that's the West. I would say probable changes. I think Dallas at some point makes a change. I think Winnipeg at some point makes a change. One thing to keep in mind is that if you notice a certain team that their jerseys don't sell and their merch doesn't sell, that's a good sign that that's a team that we might be seeing a change with. And I think that's part of it with the Ducks. I don't think those jerseys were selling very well. I don't think the merch with the webbed D were selling very well, so they go back to the old logo. Kings, much the same. This logo here, and I know the one they're using now is a little bit different than this, but this logo was the best seller of all the logos they've ever had. And that was piggybacking on the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders stuff was really popular, and then the King stuff, same color template, became really, really popular. Then we go east. The Buffalo Sabres made the change to their current jerseys in 2021. The texture on the Buffalo Sabres logo is absolutely top tier. I think the look is fantastic. And so Buffalo, I don't think we're going to see a change there. Ottawa just went back to their original logo in 2021. And by original logo, I do not mean the logo the Sens had back in the time when the first go around for the Ottawa Senators was around. The O was the original logo for them. The Sens, I don't see there being any hunger for a change, but I'm going to say this. When they made the change, I think part of it was that the jerseys weren't selling. Sens jerseys still not big movers. I think part of it is the lack of success on the ice too, though. Boston. So when Boston did the Centennial, there was plenty of discussion about Boston, and they should keep this look and keep this logo, and it's better. But Boston switched back to their logo that they had prior to the Centennial, and I don't think they're going to change from that jersey either. I think that jersey's fantastic. I like the 80s jerseys just fine, but I think the jersey they have right now is superior. That bear on the shoulders, it doesn't really look like a bear. When I was a kid, I thought it was a tiger. When I found out it was a bear, I was like, well, that makes more sense with Bruins. I can never figure out why there's a tiger on their shoulder and they're the baby bears. But anyways, the Bruins, I don't think we're going to see any kind of change. I think they have a very nice look. We'll always have throwbacks. There will always be throwbacks. Never underestimate nostalgia. Toronto, they changed in 2016, and the logo they're currently using is very reminiscent of logos they used previously. And it's a nice change because the logo they had from 1967 until 2016 is not one that I liked. I kind of thought it was boring. I did. I thought it was kind of basic, kind of boring. I mean, when I was a kid and I was trying to learn how to do the logos, it was one of the easier logos to figure out, comparatively speaking, with now. But it didn't make it a great logo in my eyes, and I think what they wear now is a lot better. Again, nostalgia is always going to be strong for people, but I think that's been a huge improvement for Toronto. Detroit, they actually did make a change in 1982. Their logo has had minor changes over the years, but when I say it changed in 1982, still, Detroit jerseys going all the way back to the 50s looked very, very similar to what we have now. The Detroit Red Wings, a team that has not messed with their jersey, and I don't think they're going to. I would be very surprised if Detroit ever makes any major changes to that jersey. Same as Montreal. And I could go back to 1956 and find the closed C. So the change that occurred in 1956 was going from an open C to a closed C. And if you pay attention when you're watching my videos, I do have a magnet made up of the open C, and nobody ever says, oh, that's the throwback Montreal magnet, because it's such a minor change. It's not a big difference. Montreal's jerseys have been largely the same since, I want to say, the 1920s, really, honestly. The New York Rangers, 1987. The change in 1987 was that the road jerseys didn't say New York anymore. They said Rangers, which is the dark jerseys. That's when the white jerseys were home. And eventually both home and away said Rangers. That change taking place in 1987, which was 9 years after they had the jerseys with the shield on the front that Ranger fans pretty universally hated. I didn't. I thought they looked nice. Pittsburgh, they changed in 2016. They went back to their original logo. I still think that's why they started winning cups again. 1992, they win a Stanley Cup. They changed their look to the Robo Penguin, and all of a sudden they're not winning cups anymore. They go back to that look. They start winning Stanley Cups. I know 09 happened. I'm aware. But yeah, the change in 2016 I was great with, because I think the jerseys, which are basically just their old 80s style, I think they're perfectly fine. And I think most Penguin fans think that's the right look. Philadelphia, they made the change last year to go back to the darker orange. But the Philadelphia Flyers, and again, with all the magnets, I'm trying to use like their current logos for all these today for obvious reasons. But I've always wished Philadelphia had some kind of, variety to their look. They really haven't had one. They've had one jersey, which makes their logo look a little bit different, which was that third jersey back in the late 90s. And since then, you might get a Philly logo that's all black. But, basically, Philadelphia has not changed their look at all. Not that I'm saying they should, and not that I'm saying they will. I think the change they just made, that's where, and then you leave it. The Florida Panthers made their change in 2016, and there are those who would still like to see them go back to their previous Leaping Panther look. I wouldn't mind seeing the Leaping Panther secondary logo that they have now on the front of a third jersey. I think that would look really nice. The new Leaping Panther is a little bit different than the old one, but it's still a very similar look. I think they could have fun with that, so look for that next year from Fanatics, maybe. There aren't third jerseys this season, so when you have a change in manufacturer, third jerseys go by the wayside. We're still going to have stadium jerseys. We're still going to have Winter Classics, but yeah, the third jerseys go by the wayside. And it doesn't guarantee that when the third jersey program returns next year, that we're going to get those same third jerseys back that we had, which is a shame because San Jose's was fantastic and so was Tampa's. Carolina, their most recent change was 2022 where they went to that double flag. I would not be surprised to see the double flag look on their away jersey as well. The away jersey with Canes, it doesn't work for me. I'm not a huge fan of that one. I actually preferred the one they had before that, which had their regular logo on the front. But Tom Dundon wants to, change things up a bit. I would not be surprised to see another change in the near future. The double flag looks really nice in my eyes, but I know that's something I've talked about before, and some people don't like it as much as I do. Columbus's most recent major change to their look was 2007. They've done some really minor ones, but yeah, 2007's when they went to this logo here. A lot of debate about called Blue Jackets. What Blue Jackets? Well, for the locals, it's a name that resonates at least somewhat, and I don't have a problem with the name Blue Jackets because if I'm a Canuck fan, yeah, I can't defend Canucks if I'm gonna attack Blue Jackets, so I'm not even gonna try. Canucks is just slang for Canadian, which tells you we have two teams called Canadians because Canada. But yeah, it's the Rough Riders all over again. Just semantics, a little different. But for the Columbus Blue Jackets, I would love to see the cannon. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think the cannon's ever going to be the main logo. And yes, I do think the cannon's a fantastic logo. And I know that that's something people don't necessarily agree with either. New Jersey, they made the change in their striping in 2017, but they've been remarkably consistent with their look going all the way back to the 90s when they dropped the green and they went to the black instead. I don't think we ever go back to the green. I'd love to see the stripes go back to what they were pre-2017, though. I would like to see that. The New York Islanders, their most recent change, 2010, where they went back to almost the exact same look they had in the 80s. Very, very remarkably close to the look they had in the 80s. And they've kept that for the last almost 15 years now. So I don't see any reason why the Islanders are going to change that. Although, is it possible? I mean, it's always possible. The Caps. So I've saved the Caps for this long because their last change was 2007. And I don't know. Maybe the Capitals could use a change. I think the eagle that they have on the shoulder works perfectly fine as a main logo. I think that would look really nice. And it's got the silhouette of the Capitol building. I think it's great. But do I think they will change? Maybe that's something you do when Ovechkin retires and you try to rebrand during a rebuild, which has happened in the NHL, right? But the Capitals are one that I think could. I absolutely think they could do a rebrand. That's why I made sure I used this Capitals logo rather than the actual eagle, because that is technically their logo, but the eagle gets seen a lot more. So eventually, shouldn't it be right front and center on their jerseys? You could even have this on the shoulders. Just switch places. The Kings did it before with the coat of arms and the crown, so why not? And then Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, the last change they made was 2017, and that's where they dropped the word mark from the white version of their jersey. It said Tampa Bay over the top of the logo itself. I would not be surprised to see Tampa Bay make some kind of a change, either changing back to what they had before or adding like a black stripe to their jersey, adding a little bit of something different. Just because, and we've talked about this before, they kind of have a Red Wings jersey with the Maple Leafs colors. So, at any rate, I don't know that we see any changes soon because other than these two teams, we didn't see any changes with the switch over to Fanatics. And that's usually when teams make that change, right? You'll see the big change in their look when a new manufacturer is making the jerseys. Maybe we see some of these change, but let me know your thoughts. What team would you like to see change their design? And I know that it gets repetitive for me to talk about throwbacks, but it just feels like when you look at the logos on the board, how many of them have updated their look and not gone back? So again, Anaheim went back to an old look. The Kings went back to an old look. The Buffalo Sabres just, they went to the goat head and then they got away from the goat head and eventually they went back to very similar colors to what they had in the 80s. The Sens go back to their old look. It just feels like that's the way of things. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. That just seems to be the way things are. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.